Yeah, we designated spitters live every week. Live. Designated homie, cause we spit heat. We designated spitters, Francis and Pete. Yes, talking Yankee baseball, hip-hop for the streets. Yup, we designated, yup, we innovative. Yup, we designated spitters, time that you know. Yup, we designated, yup, we innovative. Yup, we designated spitters, let's start the show.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Pete Simonetti here, and of course, to my left or right, whatever the hell it's going to look like on your screen, the one, the only, Francis Lee. Hopefully, you guys have started to follow, by the way.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a fact. I've definitely seen my followers increase over the last week, so shouts out to you guys who've been following or whatever. I guess there's a lot of people that's out there they're afraid. They don't know if Simonetti's gonna come after them. They know he might have 3 of them, Poppy. They ain't what.
Hey, come on, man. Hey,
they
look,
ain't trying to get caught up. So yeah, definitely people have been following me. Shouts out to you guys, man.
Folks, this is take number 2. We literally just recorded for I feel like it was like 20 plus minutes straight, but we drop in take number 2. Hopefully, we don't got to do 3. We don't want to do 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different. The rings are different than just taking takes, okay?
Exactly.
But let's jump right into it.
Yes, sir.
Last night we know the green behind me, folks, is the money from Gerrit Cole. We saw what we got. We're excited about that. We're happy about that. First, we're gonna start off though talking about the series before, which was the Seattle Mariners series. The Yankees went out there. They did their thing. They win 2 of 3. The last game, yeah, it was a bit rocky, but let's not forget how good the offense looked against Seattle.
Yeah. I was super. I'm not gonna pretend I wasn't happy with the way that the offense performed in the first 2 games of the series. Honestly, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised that all it took was us taking a trip out to Seattle for the offense to wake up, and play a decent amount of first inning runs and put opposing pitchers in compromising situations early on and basically knocking them out of the game, with pretty early, which I think was, it is the game plan when you're going into, whatever series. Like, hopefully you get to a team's bullpen, pretty early on, and then they have to figure out things and it makes it harder on them. And that's what the Yankees did in those first 2 games. First inning, they put Sheffield in game 1. They put him in a tough situation. Where you just saw things like snowballing and getting out of hand. And then same thing, game 2, Kikuchi, who's been having a pretty decent year, and they were able to put him in some difficult situations early on, and ultimately take him out of the game. And game 2 was rough because it was going not rough, but I'm saying it was a lot. The Yankees were coasting for a lot longer than it seemed like.
Right.
But then when that 3-run home run, gets hit, Herman ends up coming in, which that was a little weird.
Very weird. That was very
weird. The whole situation with Herman was just a little weird. I remember us talking about it in the group chat, if he was good enough to pitch in the 3rd inning or whatever it is that he came, why not just start him?
Right.
I don't know. But whatever. They say all's well that ends well. In my mind, it's yes. Just don't do that shit again, boom. But yeah, then he came in. He was actually decent. Herman actually had some pretty decent stuff. He gave up that big home run, but yes, stuff wise, he was pretty decent. And yeah, the good series. The Yankees went to Seattle and took care of business the way they were supposed to for once.
Yeah, I mean that's what we were expecting, right? I mean, yeah, a sweep is wonderful, but this team needs to win series. We know that going in. We know that going forward, so that doesn't really change. But you're right, man. The offense looked good. We saw in the highlights here that I have on the screen now. Stanton hitting the big homer, but the offense was just teeing off on Sheffield. They were teeing off for Kikuchi. It was just a lot of big hits back and forth, playing good ball all around. But for me, the standout performance of the Mariners series got to be the start of Jameson Taillon, who also starts today against the Houston Astros. But Taillon was so good that start. It's the best he looked all year. Curveball in the dirt, changeup low, fastball mid-waist high. When he went up properly. He went a little bit above around the hands area. Guys were chasing. But again, he was changing levels so well, and that's what you want to see from a guy like Jameson Taillon, is that he is changing those levels up, because he's middle of that, the mid 90s around there is where he's working with the fastball, and a lot of his stuff has been up, and that's been his downfall this year, is that there's no real difference in eye levels. He's throwing everything around the waist, and curveball, changeup, cutter, everything you see from him is kind of the same look, and that's why teams are able to tee off. Even if they're not teeing off, they're going to hit a big homer every now and then off him, or something is going to get hit, and then overall command hasn't been extremely well either. So as you see him pitch here in these highlights, you could just see the difference in this start compared to previous starts, and with all the hope, we got to believe in this guy going forward. We just have to, because it's unfair to him that he was brought here. Nobody expected. I don't even think Cashman and Fishman and whoever these guys are brought this guy over here to be like, hey, he fits in right there behind Cole. They know where potential is. Everybody knows where potential lies with Jameson Taillon, but you got to have realistic expectations. And this guy going forward is absolutely huge for the Yankees. I don't think anybody can talk any lower than that when it comes to Taillon.
No, it's definitely a fact. He's definitely a part of the plans for the team in the foreseeable future. And yeah, his success is going to be our success, obviously. But yeah, we're going to have to go through some growing pains as he figures it out. But like you mentioned, what helped him to be successful in that game with Seattle is just making sure that, he was in his sequence thing. He was throwing pitches where they should go, basically. So, knowing, like you said, knowing the kind of fastball he has, that's got to be placed in the right part of the zone. If not, you're going to get hammered. Your breaking pitches, your off-speed stuff, the changeup and all that stuff has got to be placed strategically in the lower end of the zone. If you're putting that, belt high, you're eventually going to get hit. You might get away with it a couple, first inning, second inning.
That's right.
Teams may not be expecting that. They're like, first couple of innings, the pitch is probably going to locate a little bit better. It'll be a little bit sharper. And then maybe we'll catch a mistake here, here in the third or fourth or whatever. But with Taillon, I feel like this season, like teams are like hunting early on. They're just hunting for, a mistake in in the zone, because he just stays in that same part of the zone normally. For like right from the start of the game, he's throwing a fastball, he's throwing a changeup, he's throwing a curveball, but all of it is staying pretty much in the same area, and it's just not good. Not against major league hitters. Eventually, they're going to catch on and they're going to do some damage. But in Seattle, he was able to figure it out. I guess he's finally getting comfortable with these new arm slides, which is encouraging. And another thing that was encouraging was the fact that this start was on the road, which is where he had the most trouble this season. Like the worst part of his ERA was his road ERA, and so him being able to, go to Seattle and get that was pretty big. I'm sure that does a lot for his confidence. And I'm looking forward to him building on that today in the series finale against Houston.
No question about it. And on the screen that you guys will see if you actually go ahead and watch this pod on YouTube to see the video of what we have on the screen here, I got to pause for a second because I want to play this. And this is exactly what I'm talking about Jameson Taillon and what we're both saying here. If you look at this sequence, I believe this was, and look at that changeup. That changeup is low on the outside corner against Sager, gets him swinging over the top of it. That's a beautiful pitch. You don't get a much better changeup than that right there. And here's another one. This is actually right there. Look at that changeup. Down and low, it stays away. So that is just so important for Taillon to continue to do. If he is able to locate low, you're looking at a very, very different pitcher. You're looking at a very, very different pitcher going forward for this club. And I just can't say how valuable and how important that is to this club going forward, because Team NY News, of course, will have you guys covered with a roundtable coming up here soon during the whole All-Star festivities. We'll have our own little All-Star festivity together. But we'll talk a lot about guys going forward that really need to step up, or who's the most important type guy going forward for the Yankees rotation in the lineup. And, Taillon's just one of those names that automatically jump out just because We don't know what trade is going to be made. We don't know if the Yankees do anything. I mean, right now we don't know anything whatsoever, right? There's no trade that's been made besides the minor ones that we've made. But when it comes to the pitching front, everybody knows the Yankees need more pitching. We know that. We all understand that. Taillon pitching well would be key.
Oh yeah. For sure. I mean, listen, it's great. It baffles me that every year the Yankees somehow find themselves in the same situation at the deadline where it's just like, oh, what starting pitcher is out there? What starting pitcher can they trade for or whatever?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're always kind of in that situation. But I feel like with, a guy like Taillon in the fold, right? And Severino coming back. I mean, they for once, at least in my mind, they could actually own. It's not necessarily that they need to get two starting pitchers like at the deadline to be able to go where they need to go.
That's right.
I mean, with the emergence of Nestor Cortes and, like we said,
the ace,
Taillon,
the ace, Nestor the ace,
and Sevy and all these. If they got one other guy, right, like that would make a big difference. So, yeah, I mean, looking forward to that. To seeing what they do, especially at the deadline. I think it's going to be an interesting deadline for a lot of teams.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. But yeah, like you said, performances like this with Taillon kind of encourage you to say like, hey, we might not be that far off.
No, and
in terms of like what we, I'm not talking about record and stuff like that.
Of course.
Record wise, we're far off.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when you're looking at overall stuff, roster construct, whatever, like
correct.
In terms of rotation, right? It's not as bad as in past years, believe it or not, where like we had to make a trade at the deadline for two arms because it was just like, oh, we got nothing.
Right. No, you're 100% right. It's the Yankees have the talent. That's undeniable. And you also got to remember too, Severino's coming back. And again, folks, you guys know I've said this for the longest time. You can't depend on hopefuls. Not as the Yankees. The Yankees should not ever say, well, we're hopeful this guy comes back, or we're looking forward to this guy coming back because that's going to improve the rotation or whatnot. Can't really do that because what you got to see it as is they're coming back and we'll see what they'll fit, right? You got Kluber also coming back. So let's not forget that. Kluber looked well. He looked strong. He looked decent. He looked very good for the Yankees through the.
We have another year. We have another year with him, I think.
Do we have another year with Kluber?
I think there's an option. I think for a second, it's something.
Oh, okay.
We have an option, or he has an option for next year. Either way, though, I do expect him to be like on the Yankees next season.
There's definitely potential there for him to return, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But they got guys coming back. We know that. So there's definitely potential for this club's rotation. That's why I think it's funny in a sense because we're gonna get into a projected roster that's been thrown out there, and we'll get to that shortly. Of course, we got the big highlights still to talk about, but we'll get to that. But one of the great things about this team is us as fans, we've seen it and we've said, man, they just have a few. You said it before. I think you used the word retooling. There's just a retooling that needs to be done to move this team forward because they're getting the help right now from guys you didn't expect it, like a Nestor Cortes, who I have deemed as the king of New York. He's the king of New York. Forget DeGrom. DeGrom's good, but he's not Nestor, okay?
Hey,
everybody knows
ERA
this.
in the city.
Lowest ERA in the city. Who do you think started the flood and the storm? That was all Nestor.
Come on.
That was all Nestor. Nestor was just putting some work in to say, folks, look, this is my city. We run by my rule. That's all it was. It was all Nestor and the mustache. That's it. It's all nasty Nestor. But no, that's a good story too. Nestor had a very solid performance against the Astros. I really wanted him to get the W though, but we don't get everything we wish for. So
it's true. That was a weird situation, the way like the numbers and stats play out in that game, because I think the W went to Licky, who pitched like what, an inning and a third or something, some crazy thing like that. Like he pitched a third of an inning more than Loaisiga in a sense, and ends up with the win.
Yeah.
Whereas Nestor had pitched more innings than anyone, and then even if you go like after that, like Chad pitched 2 innings, and like it's weird how that stat works out, which is why like Baseball's kind of got to get their stuff together with things like that.
Well, yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because obviously right now all the talk around the Yankees, analytics and stuff like that. That's actually one stat that analytics I actually agree with that isn't that important. If you ask me, because again, a lot of times you'll have starts like that, and you're like, is that's really, in my opinion, that's Nestor won that game. You know what I mean? That's Nestor's win. Everybody knows that. So there's certain stats that it's a strange thing, and we're gonna, I wanna get to Cole, but a lot of times you bring these things up, things pop in your mind, I love to bring up conversation about it. Analytics are good. Don't get me wrong. Analytics are good. We should have an idea of analytics. We should have a strong analytical department that helps us base decisions, right? Based off statistics, maybe especially how a guy may perform or is underperforming, but actually doing a little better. That you could find steals that way a lot of times, and Brian Cashman and team have done that. So I give them credit on that front. But win-loss is one of those records where I agree with the nerds where they're like, that's just something you don't pay attention to. Yeah, that to me is like, come on, we've seen guys on some really bad teams pitch really good years and have losing records, and we're like, we've seen DeGrom for how many years now?
Yeah,
I mean that's one right there.
He can't win enough. Like, and the funny thing is that you have to listen to like analysts on MLB Network and things like ESPN talking about, we don't know if he's going to win the Cy Young. I mean, he just hasn't won enough game. Like, he hasn't won enough game. Like, he's the best pitcher in the game. He doesn't have enough wins. Like, who cares? Like, nobody can pitch like this guy. His ERA is microscopic.
Right.
Like, his team can't score runs.
Yeah,
that's the
problem. and the way the game is played now, nobody's getting 300 wins.
That's not gonna happen. Yeah, that's probably not
nobody's doing stuff like that anymore. And if you do, wow, hats off to that guy. Whoever does that now, wow, hats off to you. Because it's going to be very, 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 very difficult because guys just don't stay in that long. You got guys coming out of games now where they have what's called stressful innings, where, they may throw high leverage 25 pitches, 30 pitches. And right there, you're automatically thinking the stress level on his arm is higher. He's going to get tired quicker. We want to get him out this game as soon as we can. And guys, lose losses that way. We see Nestor coming out of game with 4 2/3 innings. He needs just one more out. And he's out of there. He pitched a great game, but he doesn't pick up the W. Even though us as fans, we're giving him the W. We're saying, next start, let's see him.
Sure.
We want him back out there.
Yeah.
But stats like that don't matter. A stat that does matter, because I saw an argument on Twitter. And, I'm going to shout out my friends over at Ball9, who are a bunch of really good guys. Kevin Kernan is over there. Just a bunch of good, smart baseball men are over there. Talking baseball, doing some really great things. And if you guys never read anything from Kevin Kernan, you are seriously missing out. Great, great stuff. But Kevin Kernan he brought it up a little bit in an article, but talking about batting average. A lot of people who follow analytics think batting average doesn't matter. And that to me is where you got that seriously bad divide right now with analytics. And I guess you just say the old school ball. And I talked about old school ball yesterday because analytics tells you get Cole out that game. Cole doesn't go no more. No pitcher's going 120 plus pitches. Everybody knows that. Cole's out of that game. You go to a fresh arm, and whatever the binder or whatever the numbers tell you, you go from whatever Fishman tells you for the Yankees. You go that route. He throws his line in the water and hopes something pops out. But batting average matters to me. Batting average matters to me. You can't sit there and tell me, you know what? I actually wanted to add this to the podcast, but I didn't get a chance to. So anyway, if anybody is on NYY News' TikTok, so I'm new to TikTok, never did TikTok before, but we are really trying to expand the base here, right? And one of the first videos I saw when I went on TikTok, because I put I'm interested in sports and baseball and all that, and I looked up the Yankees just to see, who's hot on the Yankee side of things on TikTok, and there's not much out there. But there's one guy out there, Michael something, who's verified as 1.1 million followers. And guys, I'm going to get to Cole again. This is just something I know I wanted to talk about, and I want to talk about while it's fresh. this is a really good topic. So this might go on for a little while for me and you here. I'm happy I just thought about this because I definitely want to get somebody else's opinion on it. So the video was made, and the video starts off with Derek Jeter is the most overrated athlete of all time. Not even baseball player. Athlete of all time, okay? So one of the stats this person brings up is that Derek Jeter played for a long time, and he consistently hit, which made him have a high average. According the way he sounds, though, it sounds like he shouldn't have done that. That's not good. He doesn't hit for a lot of power. He also doesn't walk a lot. So that's why some of those analytical numbers doesn't put him up there with the elites of the elites of the elites of the world. Mm-hmm. And then he also says in the postseason, he played a lot. And he kind of did the same thing he did in the regular season, which is hit. So is he not supposed to hit? Should he have laid back and put his feet up? Then they also obviously talk about defensive run, DRS, defensive run saved, which basically says Jeter's the worst defender of all time. But that's also a stat that I think came out in year number 9 of Jeter's career. Yeah. So it came out later anyway. And I'm not even defending that. We all know Jeter wasn't the best defensive shortstop in the planet, and everybody knows that. Jeter made the routine plays, and they even say, when he made that jump throw play, every other shortstop makes that on the regular. Oh, okay. I hear these things, and I'm like, so my argument didn't go viral, but I got I think the most views we got on the page. I got 7,000-8,000 views, bunch of 20 shares, hundreds of comments, and baseball conversation. And most of the people I noticed, and I think this is where Kevin Kernan and guys like this who are trying to fight this battle, not really fight the battle, but understand there's another side of baseball than is new age terminology, right? There's another side of the sport still. And it is the seeing eye. It's analytics doesn't measure leadership. Analytics doesn't measure impact, in my opinion, on what you have on your overall aspect of your club. Derek Jeter meant a lot to baseball, because at the end of the video, the guy says, well, I'm not saying Derek Jeter isn't a great ambassador to baseball. Yeah, he is. That's exactly what a lot of people are talking about. It goes more than stats. Yeah. To say Derek Jeter is the most overrated athlete of all time, you are absolutely insane. And you have to have your baseball IQ or sports IQ tested on that one. A lot of the people in the comments, this is what I was trying to get at before I ran off on something else, are young kids who probably never seen Jeter play.
The majority of them never saw Jeter
all
play.
They use is certain analytical numbers that just say he's not superior to a guy like a Barry Larkin. And I'm like, Barry Larkin was a great hitter. He had an injury-prone career. He was a really good ball player. Barry Larkin was not Derek Jeter. No matter how you want to see the numbers, Barry Larkin, Ozzie Smith.
He'll tell you himself.
That's what I said.
I wasn't Jeter.
That's what I wrote. I actually said that at one. I said Ozzie Smith himself would tell you he was not Derek Jeter.
Come on.
Ozzie Smith didn't hit. You guys are talking about hits, and then you're saying, well, Ozzie Smith. No, he was a wizard in the field. That's it.
Yeah, it's facts. Defensive guy. Yeah.
He was one of the greatest defenders of all time, but no, he's not Derek Jeter. So I just wanted to get your take on that and your side of the whole thing, because we all know what Jeter's done. Me and you have watched it. We saw Derek Jeter at his best. We saw him at his worst. So we've seen it all when it comes to Derek Jeter. What's your opinion on that idiotic, I must say, statement?
I think it's exactly what you said. I mean, the thing here between with us versus the younger people is that we saw it. And at the end of the day, is there's nothing that can compare to what you saw with your own eyes. So when I listen to people, I mean, and I get it. It's become, I don't know, it's fodder. It's it's a cool thing to say among, other fan bases or whatever. Or this is one of those things that people like to say that they feel like makes them look like they're knowledgeable on the sport of baseball. Actually Derek Jeter's pretty overrated. It's if you look at this and that's shut the hell up. First of all, I will never think that you look knowledgeable about baseball saying that you think Jeter is overrated. I'm sorry. That's just not going to happen. Right. It's not because I'm a Yankee fan, but it's just because the guy was Derek friggin' Jeter. This guy is one of the greatest Yankees of all time. And to say that you're one of the greatest Yankees of all time, when that is the greatest franchise that this sport has ever seen, and you were a part of this franchise and will go down in history as one of the greatest to ever wear that franchise's uniform. It's come on, what are we talking about here? If it would have been the same if Jeter played like somewhere else. I talk about Jeter and I give that kind of respect to a couple different people. It's like if somebody would have told me, David Ortiz wasn't that really much of a big deal. He wasn't that imposing in the back. It's like, what, did you watch him? Did you see him? Like, exactly. I would never let somebody do that. And I'm a Yankee fan. And David Ortiz was a part of the Red Sox.
Him and Manny were the scariest at bats. They were the scariest at bats in the world.
It's like I can't pretend like that didn't exist. So I don't understand why when it comes to Jeter, it's become popular to say like, but he wasn't all that, right? But he didn't do all that. It wasn't that good. And he had 3,000 whatever hit, but they were all singles. It's like, you know what? That's the issue in today's game. Is that it's either home run, a walk, or a strikeout.
Yep.
There's nobody who's saying, well, maybe if I just get on base, or when there's a runner on second, hey, maybe I don't got to put the ball in the seats. Maybe I do just got to slap a single to right field and bring that run in. See, that's what Jeter did better than damn near anyone else was doing at the time that he was playing, was just putting the damn ball in play, especially when he needed to. This guy, valuable. Like, there's no real way to quantify the clutch that we're talking about when we talk about Jeter. Like, there's stats that tell you like, yes, with runners in scoring position or how he played in the playoffs and things like that. That's fine. Like, if you younger kids from today want to go back and look at these numbers or watch highlights, but I'm telling you, you will never understand it the way guys like Pete and I understand it, because we were those kids watching the game, seeing a runner on second, it's late in the game and Jeter steps up and we knew something's going to happen. Like, we knew, and that was, okay, Jeter's about to bring him in. He's about to, and he, more often than not, he did. And to me, that's not quantifiable between you and your little laptop and looking at defensive run saves and UZR and all this shit. Like, shut up. Like, you can't, stop trying to get statistic me to death when I saw this man with my own eyes and I saw that he was great. Like, I saw that he was a warrior. I saw that he fought in those series against the Red Sox. This Derek Jeter was the epitome of what it meant to be a New York Yankee, man. This guy, there was no pushing him around. There was no nothing. And I'm not even going to, I could go on for days about how one of my biggest issues with the team we field in 2021 is that we don't have that Jeter guy or whatever. But it's not so much because of the stats. Oh, like, we don't have that guy who hits the singles and stuff like that. But that is part of it, because I do think we need that guy. But it's more so what you said, the intangibles, the leadership, right? Just the vibe, the way that he carried himself, the way that he presented himself in that locker room, the way that he spoke, the way that he held his teammates accountable. Like, you're not going to find that in the stat sheet, bro.
Not at all.
There's no nerd in the world that's going to be able to tell me like, because when you really take a deep dive into the numbers, it's like, bro, take a deep dive into your bed and don't wake up. Like, go to sleep. It's like, you're going too hard.
Take a deep dive in the middle of the Atlantic. Come on.
They're looking for stats to deny Derek Jeter's greatness at this point. And to me, maybe there's no clearer sign of how great he is than the fact that people will go to the ends of the earth to try to prove that he wasn't.
To try to discredit them. That's right. It's funny because, when you hear stuff like that, and this is the thing I brought up because I saw so many of these comments and this guy basically saying, well, he didn't hit for power and he didn't walk a lot. So then my question to these guys are you telling me that Ichiro is overrated? He's not a good hitter? Is Tony Gwynn, who I consider arguably one of the greatest hitters of all time,
facts,
is Tony Gwynn not a good hitter because he never hit for power and he never walked a lot? He just got hits everywhere. Well, is that not valuable in baseball? Because would teams today be like, yeah, analytics say we pass on Tony Gwynn. Analytics would tell you, yeah, maybe we take Aaron Hicks over Ichiro. Because Aaron Hicks at his best bats .230, hits a few homers, and walks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that what they see as more valuable? If that's what these numbers are telling us, then yes, we do have a horrible divide in baseball, and it's not good. It's terrible. Because if a guy like Jeter is overrated, if a guy like Gwynn, and they didn't say that Gwynn was overrated, but the aspects they use of why to prove Jeter was overrated is because that the OPS or whatever the hell it is doesn't go up to the elites of the elites, and it's because he didn't hit for power and didn't walk. Well, again, Tony Gwynn didn't hit for power and he didn't walk. Ichiro Suzuki didn't hit for power and didn't really walk much. So you're looking at guys like that. Those are what most older baseball people would tell you, elite hitters. Where today they may be like, no, they're not. And you're like, well, that confuses me. That'll never change for me. There's no number you could show me that's like, I agree with your point. Derek Jeter's overrated or the most overrated athlete of all time. Because if you're a fan, you're like I don't know, if maybe you didn't see him. If you're like, well, I think he's an overrated baseball player. Okay. You know what I mean? If that's your opinion, maybe you can pass a little bit of argument on that. I don't think you can, but maybe you can because, you know, the gold gloves and all that. You can make some arguments that maybe he won those because he was the most popular player. He had all the eyes on him. He was winning championships.
If they want to make that argument.
If they want to, exactly. If you want to try to make that argument, that's fine. But when you sit there and say the most overrated athlete, that is pure insanity, bro. That is, and then even too, like somebody in the comments, thankfully had a little bit of logic, and they said, this was funny. They said if Derek Jeter played for the Pirates all those years, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. There's no difference. He's a Hall of Fame baseball player. It's as simple as that. No matter how you want to argue,
the numbers are Hall of Fame.
He's a Hall of Fame baseball player. Yeah. It doesn't matter if he played in the California Penal League. He would have been a Hall of Famer. It's as simple as that. And one of the comments, and this goes to show, has some of these younger guys out there are not really understanding baseball. The one guy goes to me, listen to this, and you know the years Jeter played, right? 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and so on and so forth. He goes, well, if he started his career at the Seattle Mariners, he wouldn't have been good. I was like, you mean the team that had Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Edgar Martinez? Should I continue on? Jamie Moyer? Like, that team? Are you talking about those guys? Like, he wouldn't have been good on that team? Because that team might actually won some World Series then.
He would have been like the missing piece for that team to be the dynasty that the Yankees ended up being. Like,
exactly.
It's like,
right up
come,
there.
you put it, come on. Like,
then he takes, he's like, oh, no, well, maybe the Brewers. Oh, okay. So you took it back because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay.
Come on. Maybe
that's
the
fine.
Brewers. Like, but that's what I'm saying. The funny thing is that these guys they always give themselves away. Like when they'll put a comment like that up because their laptop wasn't close enough for them to like verify. It's just like, that's how you know you're just like talking to talk. Like, oh, if you would have started in Seattle, it's like, do you know what Seattle was at that time?
Right,
like,
exactly.
You obviously don't. But if that's and I'm not trying to, like go at people like, who weren't alive or got this. It's like, no, because you're younger. That's what you don't have no control over that.
Right.
But here's my thing. It's like, if you didn't sit there and lay eyes on a player and all you're going off of is what some stat sheet tells you, maybe, pipe down a little bit. Like, I mean, you could like we said, you want to make the argument? Yeah, go ahead. But don't go.
Waste your breath.
Yeah, don't go scorched earth. Derek Jeter is the most overrated athlete of all time, dude. What's wrong with you? Like, what are you, 12? Like, what are you talking about?
It's insane.
Nobody who was alive at that time and saw this man play is gonna agree with you. And if they do, I mean, they're probably a Red Sox fan or a Mets fan, and that's fine.
And a bad one at that, because most Red Sox fans still give Jeter credit.
Still give Jeter
at least
respect.
That I've seen.
And Mets fans still give Jeter respect. I think the dopest thing about Jeter retiring and all the promo runs that they were doing was like when they would have like I think it's Lester on the mound for the Red Sox, and before he pitches, he tips his cap, and then they go to like a couple Mets fans in Queens, and they blur their face out and they tip their cap.
Yeah, I remember that.
Those are real fans. Those are real
because,
people. Those are people who understand.
One of the greatest sayings ever is "real recognizes real," right? I mean, and that was it. That's it for Jeter. Everybody knows that. Jeter got that respect because of that reason, because of who he was on the field, and even off the field. Like, people talk about having somebody that's like a role model to kids. Jeter was the best guy for that. He was the face of baseball for a while because baseball knew we don't really have much concern with what Derek is going to do off the field. You know what I mean? He's going to be somebody we could really model after and have, fans to really look up to.
Oh, yeah. He was, I mean, like we said, like the things like that are not quantifiable. The table, like, and what the kind of upstanding citizen he was, just like, the character that he showed off the field. Like, you struggle to find that these days. You got a lot of guys who get, into silly things. A lot of knuckleheads find themselves in trouble with the law because they don't they just don't know how to carry themselves. And Jeter, mistake about it. And for all young kids out there that might be listening and have no idea like about what Jeter was like, listen, it's not that Jeter didn't have fun. Okay,
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you, he dated a lot of very beautiful women.
Right.
He had, I mean, listen,
He had a lot of
Jeter had a
gift
lot.
baskets.
Yeah. Jeter he had a lot of fun, but he did it in a very Jeter way. It was
Right.
quiet. It was, it's the, you couldn't find him. You whatever. He wasn't on the back, the front page of the New York Post, with no, he knew how to move in that, that is, with media, it's a lot harder. I understand, but knew how to carry himself, off the field. And being a Yankee fan, I mean, I can't thank him enough for that. Like our guy never got caught in no crazy compromising situation. Like I love that, especially when every team felt like I felt like every team was going through that after everything, like even before the steroid thing, just stupidity, like players getting involved in stupidity. Like everybody has gone through that with their teams. And I was like, dang, we never had to worry about that with Jeter, man. He's just, this guy's the GOAT.
Yeah, he is. I mean, yeah. So I mean, that's where I wanna just touch on that, because hearing about that and seeing the comments I'm getting, I'm like, oh my god, like that's absolutely ridiculous. So let's get into the meat of the day. Throwing it on the screen now, folks. Put your glasses on, everybody, because if you want to see some pitching that will shut things down, we're taking a look at the man on the mound right there. Good old Gerrit Cole, 9-inning shutout, 3 hits, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. Francis, I'm going to let you go ahead and just start this one and talk about what you thought of Gerrit Cole's performance, and then one more big stat on this one. 129 pitches.
Oh yeah. Throw your analytics binder out the window. Yeah, what can we say about what our A's did last night in Houston? I told you this. I think I may have put it like in the group chat or whatever. This is I was like, listen, this is a big start for Gerrit Cole. I think it's like leading up to it. I was like, this is probably one of the biggest starts that he's had in his Yankee career thus far. Obviously not a playoff start or whatever. So yeah, I know some people don't consider it that big, but when you factor in what he was coming from going into this start, I mean, you had the game against Kansas City where, yeah, he pitched decent, but the strikeout numbers were super low. People expected him to strike out way more people, and he didn't. And then we end up giving that game up late anyway, and he doesn't walk out of there with a W. And then you go from there to the Boston game. And the Boston game, he absolutely gets shelled, like embarrassed. I mean, as fans, we don't know where to put our face. That game that he pitches in Boston is just like he gets rocked. They're killing us all over the timeline, on Twitter, everywhere. It's like, oh God, this is your king, this is your whatever. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. And then if you think the things couldn't get worse, he goes against the Mets in a shortened 7-inning game because it was a doubleheader, where most of us were hoping, hey, Gerrit Cole's going to pitch this entire game. We don't even got to worry about the bullpen here. We can think about that for game 2. And he can't even get out of the 5th or the 4th or whatever. No, I think it was the 5th. And I'm just and against the Mets, who were one of the worst hitting teams in baseball coming into that series. It's just like, really, Gerrit? Like, and with all that snowballing, this start in Houston, like, was set up to be one of the biggest ones of his career thus far with the Yankees, and Gerrit Cole delivered.
Big time.
I remember seeing after that Mets start, I tweeted out myself, I was like, listen, Cole needs to get it. He needs to get it together, man. Like, I understand, everything with the grip and the sticky stuff, and he's still learning. He's got to figure it out now because he's so used to pitching one way. And now in the middle of the season, like, it's really messed up how they went about it. But our commissioners are literally like as smart as the Yankees analytics team, and that's not really smart at all. So, Gerrit Cole was forced to like try to figure this out on the fly. And but yeah, I mean, at a certain point, your patience as a fan begins to run thin because it's just like we can take it from all the other guys in the rotation, but it's like going out there and seeing Gerrit Cole get hit is always going to hit us Yankee fans different because they signed him to the big money, but it was like he's our guy, that's our ace, G Cole, that's our dude. Like he's the last guy that we want to see getting hammered, and we saw it consecutively and by teams that are like arch nemesis, like rivals, like. It's crazy. Like, look at the run that Gerrit Cole has had his last 3 starts. It's not been easy for him in terms of like
No.
the pressure from the fan base. He had Boston, the Mets, and Houston. It's like it wasn't easy. So I get it. Like there's a lot of pressure there, but didn't show up in Boston. Then goes back home, doesn't show up against the Mets. So when this start rolls around, it's like, Cole, please, like I can't take you losing to Houston. Like we can't do this. Like you gotta show up. And on a night where the lineup went cast with a friendly ghost outside of really Judge and his home run.
The home run saved it. My goodness.
Yeah,
without that,
sure
what a oof.
Yeah,
who knows? Who knows
what we're talking about if Judge doesn't hit the home run. But yeah, the offense was non-existent, but didn't matter because it was literally what Judge had said previously about Gerrit Cole. Oh, we don't worry about anything when Cole's on the mound because we know you just get that one and he'll take care of the rest. And that's exactly what last night's game was. You got that one and he just put the rest of the team on his back and carried them all the way to the finish line. Even when Boone was trying to come and say, hey, let me grab some of these bags from your back. Hey, go sit your little right back in the dugout. We ain't doing this, buddy. I make literally more than 300 times what you make.
Yeah.
Go back in the dugout.
Cole was using some authority on that one. He was using some authority on that one.
I loved it. I know we're probably gonna see people, your analytics crazy people, saying you got to be careful in situations like that because yeah. But here's the thing again, analytics can't account for the moment that last night was.
Analytics don't account for balls, okay? I'm gonna just keep that real with you. We know that, Francis. You know it as much as I do. There's no stats for how much balls a player got. There's no stat for that, and that's what the eyeballs do. Look, and we said this on the first take where I was never recording, but we said that on the first take, and hell, I'll say it again right now. Gerrit Cole in that game, if Boone took him out and they won the game, I'd been happy, but I'm still mad because that was Cole's game. That's such a damn statement game that as the manager, you go, if I'm Boone and I go out there, right, here's what I say to him. Gerrit, I'm coming out here. You're doing well, or you're okay. Yes, I'm okay. The ball's yours. We win or lose with you. Talk to you. Let's go. And I leave. Or whatever. Hype him up a little, whatever you want to do. If you are going to come out, because I wouldn't have even came out. I'll just be like, man, keep going. You're good.
Yeah,
I
probably.
wouldn't have came out. But if I did come out, that's my message. The game is yours. There's nobody. This is we lose or we win with you. Simple as that. That's what this game is. So if the Yankees lost, and I don't even want to bring this scenario up, but I know how Yankee fans are, right? It would have been, oh my God, Chapman, you should have went to him even. I mean, you have to go to him at some point. Why not go to Sessa? How do you pay your ace $300+ million, $324, whatever the hell it is, right? And your argument is, oh my God, he's still throwing 99 with 120+ pitches, but let's pull him from this ball game. Even though he's dominating the whole night, guys are off balance. They're swinging that crap on the out 5 feet off the plate. I mean, he got them totally beat up. They don't know what to do with his at-bats.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's making extremely hard contact. They are out of it. What do you have, 12 strikeouts? I mean, it was just, even the last batter, Yordan Alvarez is a beast. He's an animal.
Yeah.
He's an animal, and he beats up Cole. I said it. I said, man, that's the only guy in that lineup that really worries me when he comes up against Cole with men on base. He had, 2 homers all from this year also?
Yeah.
Or 1 or 2? But
yeah, I think he's got – I think he hit the one in that start at Yankee Stadium.
I feel like he homered twice that game. Maybe it wasn't just against Cole. I don't know. I feel like he has 2
I think
Cole.
Yeah, you could be right. I'm gonna verify that, but you could be right.
But
sure.
Also too, during that game, Alvarez, the only big chance they had first and second, and Cole got him to induce in a double play with a beautifully timed changeup. Got him well out in advance, had him roll over. Great pitching. And then even that last at-bat, you saw the emotion. I mean, I put it on the screen, and I'm going to jump right back to it again because, I mean, this is something that as a fan you want to watch so many more times, right? But you watch the emotion on the last at-bat. Here's the last inning there. He gets Gurriel. Beautiful. I mean, this slider is nasty. Even though it looks like it's so far off the plate, you could see why Yuli Gurriel went for it there. But then look at this right here. I mean, that is 99 on pitch 129. Okay? Some guys are built and made different. Gerrit Cole is your workhorse and your ace. You get what you could get out of Gerrit Cole now. And you get everything you can get out of Gerrit Cole after the signing you made. And you know what? People could sit there and say, well, you got to take care of him. Cole would tell you the same thing. You think there was any second in Cole's mind of him saying somebody else is coming in this game? No. That was never going to happen. I don't care if I walk the bases loaded. This is my game. I don't care if I got to go to 150. I'm winning this game. Simple as that. This is the statement that needed to be made. And he did it. And let me, before we continue on in that game, I got to read this off. And I don't mean to harp on this a lot, but I got to harp on this, man. You reporters, what are you guys doing? What job do you guys think you have? Marley Rivera's question.
Oh.
Did you? I gotta talk about this. Did tonight prove you're a great pitcher, whether your spin rate is up or down? Cole responds, I hate saying it, but he didn't say this, but this is what I would say, bitch. Look at the numbers.
Did you see?
I mean, that's what you saw it. You saw his face.
And I'm gonna
that's what he said. He said it without setting. He's like, okay, come on, shut the fuck up. Excuse my language. Shut up.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Are you stupid? Like, I'm not even being rude to you. I know, Marley, you're doing a good job. Whatever.
Man.
God bless you. Don't ask me that shit. Get out of it. Get out of the room. Get her stuff and get her out of the room. Get her out.
And this is the thing. Like I hear things like that, right? Questions like this, and then I have people on Twitter saying, "Oh, like, but this is a problem." Like, female reporters, female media, like we get put under different scrutiny than the guys, and it's just like, no, you just asked a really stupid question. Like it has nothing to do.
Nothing
it has nothing
at
to do
all.
with the fact that you're a woman.
Nothing at all.
Has nothing to do with the fact that you're whatever ethnicity. It has nothing to do with that.
Nobody cares.
You just sat up there in front of Gerrit friggin' Cole and said, "Does tonight prove that you're a great pitcher, like without the sticky stuff?"
I just got $324 million for what? Being decent?
What are you like? What are we doing? Like right after the accusations and everything or whatever, the first time that stuff was even brought up, oh, we're gonna start looking at pitchers and whatever. He goes and pitches against the Twins and has and spins a gem. Like strikes out the guy who was talking the most shit twice. Like,
right.
I think if he was looking for like a statement game, I think it was way back on that game.
And tips his cap to him. And tips his cap to him both times. And
like,
stares at him.
I was like, does this prove that you're a great pitcher? Whatever. Like, and I think the reason that Cole responded the way he did, because he's just like, listen, a guy like Gerrit Cole is like supreme. He's supremely confident in his ability. Like, so you asking him something like that is like, what? Like, I've always known I was a great pitcher. Like,
that's like asking. That's like asking Ric Flair in early WCW days if you're the best wrestler on the planet. And Ric Flair just going, just doing one of his little flip out things and just woo, woo, woo around the ring. And like doing leg drops and elbow drops on his clothes. I mean, it's that crazy. Like, when you're about to, that's almost like, did you even think? You didn't think about this question. You just said what was on your mind.
There's no way that was the question. Like, you were watching that game, and the best thing you came up was, oh man, when I get in front of Cole, I gotta ask him, does this prove
you're a good pitcher?
Great pitcher. Like,
what?
What are we talking about?
And his
here?
reaction,
like, listen,
you can tell the dude was just like, man, shut up.
Yeah, like come on. Like I joined in on the fun on Twitter, like with the spider tag things. I've put out a bunch of jokes so we can laugh about it or whatever. Make no mistake about it. We've been saying from the beginning when this whole thing, the crackdown. I love how they're calling it a crackdown, like they're on the streets with nightsticks looking for spider tag. Like, shut up, Manfred. The crackdown, my ass. But from the start of this whole thing, I was like, Gerrit Cole's gonna be fine. He's gonna struggle a little bit, whatever. But eventually he's gonna figure it out. He'll find a new way, or he'll get used to gripping the ball with, I guess, just the rosin or whatever, and he'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it, because the thing about Gerrit Cole stuff is you can put as much sticky whatever as you want. That ain't gonna make you throw a fastball 99 on your 112th pitch of the game.
Right.
Ain't
That's
enough
right.
sticky stuff in the world.
That's right.
Like this, that is just pure talent, greatness, grit, hustle, heart. Like, ain't enough sticky stuff in the world is going to give you that. You don't need. So it's like asking him that question after that start is just like, oh, come on, Marley,
Well, it's
come on.
insulting. It's insulting.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
like,
that's an insult to Cole.
that's the last thing. If I'm him, after that performance, I'm like, damn, that's what you want to ask me? Like, come on, bro. Like, you couldn't think of nothing
Let me
else
tell you
to
something,
ask
bro.
me?
I'd be mad petty on that one. I tell the Yankees people you don't accept a question from her anymore, and I'm up here. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I'm not even joking. I'd be super. Anybody, you could call me petty. You could call me what you want. I'm sorry. Nah, I ain't doing it no more. You want to come to me one-on-one and talk about it? I would just have to tell her flat out. Look at you don't find nothing wrong with the question you asked me. Let's be real. Let's keep it real. I'm not seeing you as a woman. I'm seeing you as a reporter asking me a question.
Asking me a
Look
stupid
at the question you asked me. You want me to sit here and be like, I'm going to accept more of these questions? I'm good. I'm good.
Come on.
Nah, I'm good.
Dude,
nah.
It's really idiotic at this point. That is just like, and it's just like, okay, like, who else is getting questioned about this freaking sticky stuff at this point as much as Gerrit Cole is? Like, if I'm him, I'm sure he's just freaking over it at this point. And he's just like, why, even when I go out there and dominate for 9 innings, freaking striking out 12 of one of the best offenses in baseball this season.
They actually have batting average. They actually have batting average.
Yeah, like let's not kid ourselves here, right? The Astros coming into the city were one of the best, they are one of the best offenses in baseball this year, right? Even without people, Correa and Bregman. Yeah, no, Bregman's missed a lot of time this year, and Correa's been there, but you take him out of the lineup, and there's still people like you said, Alvarez is a very dangerous hitter in that lineup. You were actually right. I went back and confirmed it. That May game that Cole pinched against Houston here at home, he gave up 2 home runs to Alvarez.
I thought he did, yeah.
So yeah, like there's dangerous hitters up and down that lineup.
Well,
and
if you go through just a 1 through 5, I mean, you don't see this right now in baseball. You just don't.
Oh no.
You Altuve 279, Brantley 324, Gurriel 314, Alvarez 299, Tucker 266. They got another, Straw's hitting 266. Then there are other guys where a lot of other teams are with the lower 200s. Yeah. But you don't have many top of the orders right now in baseball.
Not like that.
That basically means they actually hit and get on base with the balls they put in play.
Exactly.
It's actually going through.
A lot of traffic on the base paths.
Yeah, you're seeing that with them, and then to any way at all try to discredit that or make it sound like this is the start that makes you good or that has, made you the pitcher that you are. That is beyond insulting, and no baseball reporter in their right mind could defend that question. Nobody could defend that question.
Yeah, no, and I guess, and here's my biggest point on this. This would be my last point on that is basically what I think. If you're Gerrit Cole, you want to defend against happening, and he's well within his right to defend against this from happening. Is that because of that whole spider tack thing, people try to take away what he already accomplished before coming to the Yankees and whatever. So it's like now, like when you ask him a question like that, it's almost saying like, oh, like does this cement you as a great pitcher? Because now, because of the spider tack thing, everything you did before doesn't count.
Yeah, it's insulting.
That's why he said, no, well, go look at my career number. Like, yeah, go look at his career numbers because there's things in those stats that have nothing to do with frigging spin rate. Okay. Like, so don't try and discredit what he was beforehand. Oh, well, we don't know. He was probably using a spider tack. You know what? Don't give me that, because here's the thing, and it's the same thing I said with steroids, the same thing with it, and people don't like this argument, and that's fine. I don't care if you don't like it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a fact. If you do it and I do it, are we going to have the same results that these guys do? Hell no.
Right.
Hell no. So the spider tack thing is like, oh, it's, it's whatever. Yeah, I get it. But guess what? Gerrit Cole was not the only one using it. Okay. And this is widely known throughout the game of baseball that there was hundreds of guys using this freaking sticky substance. Yet there weren't hundreds of guys with the stats that Gerrit Cole was putting.
Exactly. There's a level of talent. Well, if you
so
remember, there was
so don't take his talent out of it.
Well, it was the same, and it's right. Like you bring up the steroid era. There was a lot of bad guys who got suspended for steroids that were really bad. There was one guy, I forgot his name. Melky did it.
I'm not saying he was terrible.
No, he wasn't a terrible ball player.
You did Cabrera, Melky Cabrera. You were doing basically probably the same steroids with Robinson Cano around the same time.
Yeah.
But you wasn't hitting like Robinson Cano, you know, because you could inject or take whatever you want, bro. They ain't gonna teach you the hand-eye coordination.
Yeah,
they ain't gonna teach you timing.
And the thing for me too is a lot of times like these guys will have a great year, then they get popped for steroids or something like that, and everybody's like, oh well, look what happened when he took steroids. He was probably taking them every year.
Yeah, like what are you talking
about? I mean,
he finally the skills. That's what happens. Like when the skills and the talent catch up to that, do the steroids help? Of course.
Yeah, and of course, and you could also. What people also don't understand is that these guys most of the time weren't popping steroids during the year. They were doing it in cycles in the off season.
Yes.
Or in cycles where it's easy to get in and out sometimes.
Yeah. That's how they did it back then.
And that is the way you're supposed to take something like a steroid anyway in a cycle because it's bad for your body to continuously take it. Like the stuff that Bonds was taking was basically something they give the horses.
Yeah.
I mean, so and guys like McGuire and Sosa and these type of guys. Does that mean that Bonds, Sosa, and McGuire aren't Hall of Famers? No, they're awesome. They're really freaking good baseball players. Yeah. No matter how you want to see it. So you're right.
One of these days, we gotta hash out that topic.
Oh, I've been there and done that. So doing it again for me would be absolutely awesome. And you know, it's almost like I used to knock, and I think I said this before. I'm sure I probably have. I used to knock Bud Selig because if you remember during that time, he was also, I think, part owner of the Brewers or he owned the Brewers, even when he was commissioner of baseball. And I remember everybody around that time, like even, you know, as much as I'm not a fan of Jose Canseco's. I think he's a little off the rocker, so to say. But, you know, Canseco's right about a lot of things, though. These guys who are now acting like we're the Angels and we knew nothing, you knew everything. You knew everything.
Yeah.
Look at the year 98 too. All of a sudden, McGuire would be up on Sosa, 4 or 5 homers or something like that. All of a sudden, Sosa goes to Milwaukee, and he hits 6 homers in a series. And you're like, isn't the commissioner have something to do with this club that's lobbing fastballs down the middle to this dude? Like I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist here, but when you watch stuff, certain things pop in your mind. It's like that's the first question in your mind. You obviously have a certain feeling about it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you guys are crucifying guys like McGuire and Sosa when McGuire and Sosa literally brought baseball back to the mainstream. And then the first thing you guys want to do is crucify him. Come on now. Yeah. The Cubs want Sosa to apologize to even come back in the stadium? Are you kidding me?
It's not gonna happen. Sosa, first of all, Sosa's got a lot of other things to apologize for before he even thinks about that. Like, he needs to apologize to the entire Dominican delegation for even looking the way he does today, because we do not accept that. That is not.
Bro, I could be Sammy. I'm Sammy.
Apologize to me first. Forget the Cubs organization. What the hell were you thinking, Sammy? But
he looks like me. Listen, baseball been very, very good to me. It's me. It's me. Baseball been very, very good to me. I live in Miami.
Oh, man.
I figure I got 3 of them, Bobby. I'm good.
Yo, nah. And oh man, but you're right though. You're definitely right. Listen, I feel the same way about Canseco. Like a lot of times he goes a little bit crazy. I'm just like, here this guy goes again. But listen, that point that he made about them knowing what was going on or whatever, like he's 100% right.
Facts.
And the fact that like now they want to like wash themselves of all culpability and say, nah, you know, these teams and these players, it's like, don't give me that. Everybody knew. The problem is that there was that for a while, you didn't mind it because you were just like, whatever, like there's a bunch of people doing it. It seems fair enough or whatever. Baseball only really intervenes when somebody screams, you know, somebody complains loud enough and now they have to like really react. That's how it goes. Like same thing happened just now with the spider tag. You think, baseball, we just started investigating it like last year.
This is the beginning of time of baseball this happened though.
Yeah.
You got guys in the Hall of Fame who have admitted to it. Who have admitted to use it anything they could find.
It's like you know, like Let's not pretend. My whole thing is just that, like, let's not pretend here that you don't realize what's going on. Baseball, I know the reason I know that baseball realized this thing is that they keep proactively changing things to like counter and like balance some of the things that players do. Like the juice ball a couple seasons ago was, offense has dipped dramatically, right? Teams are not hitting home runs at the clip that they were years ago. We know that fans and everybody loves the home run, right? Chicks dig the long ball. Let's juice the ball, put it out there for a season. Let's see what happens. Let me tell you what happens. One of the funnest seasons in recent memory was the juice ball.
You're damn right.
It was the juice ball. Everybody smacking home runs all over. But guess what? The pitchers, elite pitchers, still had to pitch with the juice ball. They were still elite.
Yeah.
So what was the complaint there?
There shouldn't be. And that's the funny thing. It's like, it's like baseball saying, guys, don't worry, we'll cheat for you. And it's okay. But don't you go out there and do it.
Yeah, because no. You can't do it. But we could do it because we are baseball.
We're baseball. You know what I mean? I'm Manfred. So here's what we're going to do as being Manfred. I want the optics of this to look cute. Yeah. I want it to look like I'm cracking down on something. I want it to look like this or that. This is going to go away soon. Everybody knows it. There's going to be something that's approved. There's going to be some sort of a players thing that comes together and approves some sort of substance or something, making it okay.
They're going to come up with something.
They'll definitely come up with something. But the funny
people are going to get mad when that happens.
Of course.
Because they'll come up with something.
It's cheating. It's this.
They'll come up with something, and then Gerrit Cole's spin rate will probably go up by 100 or 200 RPMs again. Right. And they'll be like, oh, well, you see, that's the thing, is that it's cheating. It's like, no, he has better grip of the ball, right? His RPMs won't be what it was with the spider attack, but it'll get up a little bit higher to where he'll be ridiculously dominant again. And you're going to have people bitching and moaning like, oh, they gave in to Gerrit Cole. No, they gave in to like the safety of the game.
To logic.
Yeah, come on. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't want a guy who throws 100 miles an hour complaining that he doesn't have a grip of that thing. I'm sorry.
Not. Because all the stress is going right here then.
Yeah.
All the stress is going on the elbow.
Especially guys that you're paying the way that the Yankees are paying Gerrit Cole. It's like
business now, man. Fortunately and unfortunately, it's a real business. These guys are assets. You know what I mean? They are assets to your club, and having them off the field does nothing for you.
Oh, no, it hinders you. So it's like, I think it's in their best interest to make sure like that, these guys are all taken care of. My whole thing is like, when I look at it, I'm just like, oh my God, Josh Donaldson is the one who comes and is, talking all this nonsense, the loudest voice in the room. They go and they do something or whatever. The spotlight goes to guys like Cole or Bauer, who's in the spotlight for something completely different now. But at the time, this is what the line of questioning was. And it's just like, who the hell is Josh Donaldson to like, yes, you won an MVP, but bro, what have you done since then? What happened since then?
I'll tell you what he's done.
Yes, I know you paid. You was better player than me, but you never will have one of this. I got 3 of them, papi.
That's it. That's all right there. That's for Josh Donaldson.
Exactly, Josh.
That is on my phone forever.
You got Josh. I got 3 of them, papi. You have 0. You got none of them, papi.
Nothing.
You're never gonna get one. Like,
no, you were nothing. Like he said flat out, you're nothing.
Like, this guy coming out and like whatever. It's like, all right, you did all that, whatever. And then the first time Cole saw you, he sat you down like clockwork. It struck you out in fascinating fashion without any sticky stuff.
Facts.
So it's like, look, you did all that for what? You did all that for what? I mean, don't get me wrong. I listened to a podcast the other day with Theo Epstein. I was at Taruko's podcast, and if you guys haven't heard it, I think it's definitely a good listen just to hear like about all the changes that they're trying to implement in baseball to grow the game and do speed up the time and everything. So it was very interesting. But when Theo was saying like, yeah, we're already seeing like significant jumps in offensive numbers like ever since the crackdown began or whatever, I'm like, I know that's the optic they want to portray, but in reality, like if you're watching games like we've been watching games, like the difference is very minute. It's very minimal.
Not for the Yankees. Definitely not for the Yankees. I haven't seen the Yankees start running off on tons of hits and this and that. The guy they beat up wasn't great.
Not even just us, because the Mets offense has still pretty much been like here and there, whatever, right, unless they're playing Pittsburgh. But Other than that, they're the same. Like, I'm saying, there's a lot of teams. Atlanta hasn't benefited from no more sticky stuff. Now Atlanta just started hitting. No, it's like the teams that were struggling before the crackdown began are still more or less hitting the same offensive numbers. So
Right.
I know what the optic that they want to go for is, but I know what my eyes are telling me also, and so I'm gonna rock with that for now. Let's see at the end of the year when all the data is collected. Maybe somebody can give me some numbers that convince me otherwise. I don't know, but right now it's like I haven't seen that big change yet.
Right.
Other than the fact that Tampa Bay's pitching is not as effective as it was before.
Yeah, because they've
and
definitely
I don't think enough
hit.
people are talking about that.
They've
So I'll bring it up
taken a hit.
to be Captain Petty. Yeah. Marley Rivera wants to ask Gerrit Cole if he's a great pitcher after last night. Why is nobody asking Tampa Bay why all of their arms suck now?
All of a sudden, they're just terrible.
Look, Marley, take a flight down to Tampa. I think somebody needs to ask that. You can take it from me. We need
to send Marley around. Marley got to go over there and talk to Tampa. Fangraphs released. I'm gonna throw this on the screen here. The Yankees Fangraphs has as the number 7 overall team for their prospect pool. Now, this is important because a lot of people, I think Baseball America, a few others, have the Yankees ranked basically mid-pack of the order in Major League Baseball. But the Yankees right here are basically more above in the middling of the pack here overall for where the Yankees are when it comes to the value of their team and the value of their prospects. As you know, weekly I do Pinstripe Podcast weekly now, and I talk about a New York Yankee prospect. Last time I talked about the number 4 ranked prospect, Oswald Peraza, but just going through briefly the New York Yankee system for a lot of people who don't know, they got some legitimate prospects, Francis, some really, really good guys coming up through this system, some guys who are really opening eyes this year. And it puts the Yankees in a good spot, doesn't it, for the deadline coming up and also just for the future overall?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was pleasantly surprised. Not that the Yankees were, ranked top 10 or anything. I was just like, I don't know if Fangraphs always puts this out like around this time of year or not, or whatever. I was just like pleasantly surprised that this came out around this time, because I was like, it's very interesting with the deadline looming and people saying a lot of things. Like, I still see it all over the place. I saw a guy on Twitter just yesterday saying like, oh no, the Yankees don't have what it would take to like secure an arm. Like, I think they were talking about some of the arms in Cleveland possibly becoming available, and then somebody who, oh man, I wish I want to get this guy's name because he's one of our like really faithful followers, was like, hey, if this is true, like if this guy becomes available, right? Like if a Bieber or a Savali become available, like we gotta make sure that we're in on that. Yeah. And this guy responded, and he's like, oh, the Yankees, they have absolutely nothing in terms of prospect capital that would interest Cleveland to make a deal. I think his name is at J Lawrence on Twitter. Okay. Is the one that said, if these guys are available, we got to make a move. And somebody responds to him and is like, oh, a Cleveland fan, I think, obviously. Oh, do the Yankees have nothing in the way of a prospect that would entice us to make a trade like that? And I'm just like, and then he brings up like, there's not much value aside from Dominguez. It's like,
yeah, you're so far off. It's not even funny.
Yeah, that's why something like this post from Fangraphs is really important, because there's a lot of uninformed people out there that don't realize the amount of talent that's in the Yankees farm system right now as we speak.
And I mean, that's even the reason why I want to do this Pinstripe weekly when I'm talking about a Pinstripe Yankees prospect weekly. Every Thursday I'll be dropping those videos, on Wednesdays or Thursdays, we'll see. But people don't understand how good the system actually is, because they fans a lot of times, I'm not knocking them as saying like they are what do they say? Casual fans, where it's kind of like you'll know the first 2 guys or the top prospect, but you don't ever get into the 10s, 15s, 20s, 30s, and around that number. The Yankees got so many guys that are really, really not necessarily overachieving, but doing better than expected, or have just hit a new level, so to say, in their growth. The number 28 prospect is Glenn Otto. If anybody knows anything about Glenn Otto, let me give you some numbers real quick. 3.17 ERA in Somerset, AA, 65 innings. Listen to this number. 103 strikeouts. But I want to hear something even more stupid. He has 14 walks.
Sheesh.
103 strikeouts to 14 walks. 46 hits only, 14 strikeouts. Batters are hitting 197 against Glenn Otto, who I told you guys, I had an evaluator the other day tell me this guy could help the Yankees at the major league level right now. That's where his talent is. Yeah. I have a friend who actually knows Glenn's family. They also told me that his bio says he's about, I think, 6'2 or 6'3. He's more like 6'5. So he's big. He's a very, very big kid, per my understanding from what I hear about him. But I'm high on a guy like Glenn Otto. They got Ken Waldichuk, who is dominating also. Overall in the year, he got a 1.24 ERA in 50 innings, 86 strikeouts. These guys are ranked the bottom of the Yankees prospect pool. You know, so that's the crazy thing. Yeah.
But there's I think another point to be made here is how close a lot of this talent is. You can go on MLB.com.
Yes.
And you can do this for any team. You just put in the team's name and top prospects, and they'll give you like the team's like top 30 or whatever.
ETA.
And MLB does an ETA, right?
Yep.
You look at the guys that we're talking about, your Waldichuks, your Glenn Otto, even like Medina, like these guys, like their ETA is like 2022. That's like next year. Or 2023, like Wells, I think is like 2023 or whatever. Like
he is.
They got so it's like next year or the year after.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, the Yankees don't have much in the way of prospect capital. It's like, no, they have major league ready talent like that's coming up literally that can start for you next season.
Right.
Like you're just uninformed. Like if you're uninformed, just say that then. If you're uninformed, just say that. We're not going to bash you for not knowing. That's fine. You don't got to know because most people don't. Like you just put something and hit send and, hey, I did something. No, you didn't. Like you made yourself look dumb is what you did. Because when you look at this system, there's a lot of guys. Like, yes, we talk about your Hoy Parks and your Trey.
And they're not even on it.
Floreal. Every single week we're talking about these guys. Right now, we're talking about a completely different crop of guys aside from those that are killing it right now in the minors. And this is common knowledge among – listen, that's the funny thing is when you hear people talk like this, you just realize how great the disconnect is between actual like MLB front offices and what fans think. Like you can tell right away fans aren't paying as much attention to these guys the way that MLB front offices are. Because I guarantee you there's not a front office in the league that's not aware of some of the guys that we're talking about. They
not
know.
At all. I mean, I could throw names out there. Trevor Harver, who a lot of people probably haven't heard of, hitting .299 this year, slugging .505, 7 homers, 13 doubles, 2 triples. He's a second baseman and outfielder for the Yankees.
Outfielder, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he plays middle infield and outfield.
I remember his name, Harver. I don't know how to say it yet. I'll learn, I guess, when he comes up.
I will learn myself.
But he's interesting to me, just the whole second base outfield combo or whatever. Is he a lefty, that one?
Who? Oh, Harver?
Harver?
He is a bats lefty, yes.
Yes, that's another. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. I mean, not for nothing. I know we're always like saying, the balance in the lineup and things like that now, whatever. But it's like it's so interesting how much, in terms of like prospects coming up, we have lefty hitting. How much lefty hitting we have coming up. So it's funny because like the same guy in Cashman who built this super right-handed heavy lineup or whatever also drafted and purchased tons of lefty prospect capital. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe it was a backup plan. I don't know. But.
And here's another guy too that everybody should know by now, Josh Smith, who is absolutely raking in high A. So he is in high A right now. His overall numbers. So and let me just say this too: he has more at bats in high A than in low A. So when you hear the numbers, it's not like one of those things where he dominated in low A, it came up to high A and has done decent. He's done much better in high A. And, I mean, this is a guy who might actually end up in double A this year already. 23 years old, Josh Smith. Overall, he's hitting .341. .341 overall, 12 doubles, 3 triples, 9 home runs, 42 runs scored, 24 RBIs, 22 walks. His on-base percentage is .461. His slugging is .674. I mean, these are elite level numbers. And yes, he is creeping up into that top 10. He's getting closer there. MLB.com has him ranked for the Yankees right now, number 14. Then you got Ezekiel Duran behind him, who's number 15. TJ Sycamore, who we haven't even seen this year, is a big lefty. These are names that people don't talk about all the time. And then, you got a guy like Estevan Floreal, where the last couple of guys we talked about are already 23. Flo's in AAA at 23, hitting his 6th homer last night, driving it to dead center field, probably a good 420, where it looks like the man barely took a huge hack and just smacked the hell out of the ball. I'm telling you, Francis, I'm saying it now. I said it in the tweet, and I'm going to stick to my guns here. I can't trade this dude. I'm not just, bro. Maybe I feel like Cashman right now. Maybe I do. Maybe this is what the nerds feel like. Maybe I feel like a nerd right now. Maybe I am too high on a guy, or I'm falling in love with the idea of a prospect. Maybe I am. But here's my thing. Where was the last great Yankee center fielder? Where was the last great Yankee center fielder that was developed through their system? It's Bernie. Bernie's the last one. You can argue Gardner's been a damn good Yankee and he's come up through their system. You can argue that point.
Of course.
And he's been a damn good Yankee. But I'm talking about a legitimate,
not Bernie level.
Not Bernie level. I'm talking about a legitimate all-star caliber center fielder, right?
Yeah.
I watched Floreal. I've seen so many damn videos of Floreal throughout his career. The guy right now is not the guy of 2 years ago. The guy right now is not the guy of even a year ago or whatever the hell. Let's say in 2019 as a year because COVID year, forget it, throw it out the window. He's not that same guy. This is a kid who has worked. He has worked, and it's obvious. You can't give me the nonsense right now of, he's not performing in AAA. Probably his last 10, 15, 20 games, he's hitting close to 300 because he was hitting like 170. Now he's hitting 235, 237.
He's figuring it out. He's catching up. Again, it's what we said the other day. Like with a guy like Floreal, what you want to see as he rises up the ranks is that adaptability. We're not saying he's going to come up to the MLB and immediately go on a tear and just set the league on fire. He may, but chances are he doesn't do that. Chances are he struggles a little bit here and there. He might get a couple hits and then might go a couple games where he's really searching for it. But what you want to see with a guy like that is the adapting period. And that's what I think we've seen. Like now in AAA, we've seen it. There's nobody that can argue, he doesn't really. Nope. The last 15, 20 games, he seems to have adapted. Just like that in AAA. So what we were saying weeks ago or a month ago at whatever, when we said, just call this kid up or whatever, because we felt like give him some time and he would eventually adapt and figure it out at this level too, because he was a necessity. And also to speak to your point, like, listen, I can't argue with anyone saying, hey, I don't want to trade Floreal right now. And I think that's the situation that the Yankees have put themselves in, because when you look at somebody like Floreal, you're like, it's hard not to get like super excited about what he represents. The athleticism, the glove out in center field, the hitting, and it's a lot. He represents a lot of things that we don't necessarily have on the major league roster right now. And to know that we have it being cultivated in our farm, it's a tantalizing idea. You don't really want to trade that away. So I can't really argue with anybody saying, I don't want to get rid of that guy right now. It's like,
and it depends. You know what I mean? It depends.
He's close.
It depends on that type of deal. Because if you're getting somebody who's controllable for years to come, then yeah, of course you consider that deal.
It hurts less.
It hurts less. And you don't necessarily want to trade somebody with that type of talent for a rental or a year-long guy where, you got it for maybe one more year and that's it. You want to, if you're going to trade somebody with this level of talent, because, again, Floreal's one of those guys that feel like he's been in the system forever. And he's never got here. He's only 23, so he's young for AAA. So to see him up there is amazing. Oswald Peraza, who you guys saw me talk about, this is a guy who's already knocking on the door of AAA. Nobody expected this. We all knew what a talent he was. Everybody had that understanding that they have a young kid, Oswald Peraza, who's coming up, who a lot of people feel could be the shortstop of the future. Yeah. But this kid does everything, and I talked about in that video that I made. I said, man, the thing that is nice to have a guy like Oswald Peraza, if you don't eventually deal him for somebody who is, again, cost control, you cannot deal a Peraza for somebody who's going to be a rental. That's to me, that's a bad one. Unless you win, then you win, but that's a harder one to swallow. But a guy like Oswald Peraza makes it more easy in a sense to potentially deal a guy like a Gleyber Torres because he is a shortstop. His rankings are high up there for defense. He has a great arm. The one thing I love about him that you hear from everybody is they talk about his sense of baseball IQ. He knows what he's doing. He thinks well in advance when he's in the field. And his power is now coming along. People project him to be, 15 to 20 plus homer guy, 20 plus stolen bases, really fast, good speed, smooth glove. You always hear that about him. The Yankees have legitimate prospects that I know for a fact. And I said this, right? If I were the Pirates or if I were the Indians, as you brought up, hey, man, get me on the phone. If we make the right deal, give me those guys.
Hell yeah.
What's up? Let's go. Yeah. Give me Floreal. Because you know what I could do if I'm the Pirates? They could struggle at this level. It don't matter.
Yeah,
it don't
they got
matter.
They got the perfect proving ground for guys like that right now.
Bring
so they
up.
love trades like this. This is what we were saying when we were speaking about Davy Garcia possibly being dealt, and people say, well, maybe, because David he's struggling right now at AAA. Yeah, but the potential is still there, and there's a million teams that feel like, oh no, this guy, hell yeah, I'll take a flyer on him because
bring him up, bro.
He's still ridiculously young.
Damn right.
And imagine if you're the Pirates, it's like I could have him come up. I don't even have to send him to AAA. I can have him working this out
now
here in the major league level. Like,
Facts.
for all we know, he figures it out here. Maybe he changes division, facing different lineups or whatever. He might just figure it out at the major league level. But like, there's teams that like don't have like that pressure of the window where they can do that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pieces in our farm that are enticing simply for that fact that it's just like there's teams that are better suited to like wait on some of these guys than the Yankees are.
And I'm not.
So they'll make those deals.
Right, and we're not saying there's not other guys and other teams' prospects that can do the same thing. But if I'm the Pirates, man, I'm telling you, like you said, I mean, if a guy like you, let's just say somehow they make a deal, they end up getting Floreal, whatever that deal is, they get a guy like Estevan Floreal. He's likely immediately their starting center fielder, or in left, or even in right field. He's immediately probably in that outfield somewhere.
Yeah,
you can make this dude literally struggle if he does for the rest of the year and even next year. And at some point, you say, we took the risk on it because of this. Whether it's going to really pay off, he's going to become, I think, a really, really good baseball player. Or he might be average, or he may end up a fourth outfielder. Who knows? But a team like the Pirates have that opportunity, especially even now with the Yankees. That's why I've been harping on this so much. You may not even need to go out there and trade for an outfielder. He might be that guy, but you never gave him that shot. And you haven't yet to give him that shot. And we've been saying that for the longest time.
We've been saying that.
Some
of these guys could save you from making these deals if you just gave them the shot.
That's right. And the thing is, it's not like a guy like Floreal is like, well, we got to try to get him on the roster. Dude's already on it. He was already called up once this year, played one game, doubled, and then you send him back down. Yeah. So
Same thing last season.
Same thing last season. He comes up.
One double header, comes up,
hits,
one hit.
And gets sent back down. So, I mean, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of how confusing that stuff is, but the point I wanted to make here is how interesting this system is, right? So, Francis, I know you're not going to be able to see this on the screen, so I don't know if you could pull it up on Twitter. I think you actually sent it to me. Here's a 2022 lineup.
I'll pull
done by, what is it, NJ.com.
NJ.com.
Who projected what the Yankees' 2022 opening day lineup is going to look like in their opinion. So I'm going to go over that, and then let's have a topic of discussion around that. They say the manager is going to be Raul Ibanez. Batting first will be the center fielder now, Ketel Marte. Second baseman, DJ LeMahieu, playing first base. So they agree with us in the sense that LeMahieu at first makes a lot of sense with the roster construction.
Oh, yeah.
Batting third is the shortstop, Kyle Sager. Fourth, Aaron Judge in right field. Fifth, Michael Conforto in left field. Sixth, Giancarlo Stanton is DH. Seventh, Gary Sanchez remains as the catcher. Eighth, Giovanni Urshela remains as the third baseman. And ninth, Gleyber Torres remains at the club at second base. So you give me your thoughts on this roster construction, or lineup construction, I should say.
I'll tell you one thing for sure. It's super interesting. I think the first thing that the both of us even said, like when we were discussing it to bring it to the pod, was like Conforto. Like Conforto is such an interesting, it's an interesting idea. He's an interesting player, and like I'd be lying if I told you like, oh yeah, I was thinking about Conforto in the offseason. I wasn't
Right there
until I
with you.
saw this here, and then I'm just like, is that the kind of deal that they make? And it's like, why does that feel like the kind of deal that Cashman makes? It just does. Like, it makes sense. Like the guy's coming off a down year, whatever. I could see it. But yeah, initial reaction was just like, this lineup is ridiculously balanced in terms of like, like lefty righty, like contact with power and things like that. And it's a stark difference. Like it's very, very different from what we've been putting out the last couple of years. So this lineup, if this were to come to fruition, it would be exactly what we've been saying Cashman needs to do if he's supposed to keep his job, which is admit defeat, admit that you structured this team erroneously, and you have to go back to the drawing board and redo it. And this is what it would look like. This is what I mean when I say that Cashman needs to admit defeat.
Facts.
Like, let go of what you got, what you put out there this year and last year, and go to a lineup that looks a little bit more like Ketel Marte leading off with DJ right behind him, which in my mind, you can switch those guys one or two either way, and
Right.
I'm fine.
Right.
It could be DJ leading off, or it could be Ketel. I see they go Ketel the switch hitter,
Switch hitter, yes.
or is he just lefty?
He's switch
He's a
hitter.
switch.
Yeah.
So I see, okay, you got a switch hitter, you lead him off. I get that. Okay, fine. But him and DJ back to back, it's basically what we've been saying for however long now with the Adam Frazier deal. It's that we just want another guy.
I was just about
who
to
can
say
hit
that,
the ball that way at the top with DJ before you start getting to your Judges and your Giancarlos. And it's like, let's get some hitters like at the top for like, it's traditional in a sense. It's a little old school. They're calling that now, which is crazy because I don't feel that old for that.
Right. Me too. Right.
But that's what it's become. Right now, Corey Seager, I honestly, like, I don't know that's
It's Corey Seager. I said Kyle. My bad.
Oh yeah, his brother. We were just playing.
Right.
We're just playing his brother. But yeah. So Corey Seager is a move that, like, personally, I'll tell you right now, I love Corey Seager.
Right. Who could have? I mean, the guy's excellent.
I really like Corey Seager. My whole thing is, before this season, got underway, I didn't see the Yankees even entertaining the idea of signing a shortstop in this offseason. All right. I know that there's a plethora of shortstops.
There's a lot of them,
agency,
right? There's a lot of them.
I was just like, the Yankees aren't going to entertain it because, they got Glaber there and they're comfortable with him there and whatever. I'll tell you one thing here on July 11th, it's a completely different story now. And I can 1000% see them dabbling in the market, especially if they do stay under the luxury tax threshold here at the deadline. Then there'll be no excuse not to spend in this offseason because you reset the tab, whatever. Like, they got money coming off the books. I can definitely see them making a play for a guy like Corey Seager now. Whereas at the beginning of this year, I was telling people like, yeah, it's slim chance they go for a shortstop.
Yeah.
I can definitely see this. And if he is the guy, great choice.
Yeah.
Great choice. He's not going to be as expensive as some of the other guys, which is not a knock on him. I think he's a little older. And, that, again, that's not his fault. But that's going to cause his price to be a little bit lower. He is a lefty. So, again, we're bringing a lefty, batting shortstop. And we had a decent run with Didi, and I think Corey Seager is better than that. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, do you worry about, like, I don't know, like maybe like injuries and things like that? Yeah, that's always –
they happen.
Even when guys are like healthy before they sign with the Yankees, like, don't you always kind of like worry, like,
of course,
this guy gonna come here and become flimsy?
Yeah, of course.
So, like, yeah, I don't know, like, but yeah, I love that move. And yeah, moving Torres back to second base could be his saving grace. Could be.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. The whole thing for me when I'm looking at this lineup is you still have so many options. That's why I said, man, I think we can talk about this topic for days and days and days and days and days and never get bored of the conversation because there's so many different ways they can go here. And that's why I think folks and Yankee fans specifically are so interested in this topic. because, like you said at the beginning, Ketel Marte is going to cost a lot of prospects, and he should. So he should never, like, no fan, don't start off with anything like, we'll give Tyler Wade and, no. We know that. Don't do that to yourself because it's going to hurt. So if you're playing a video game or something and you want it to be realistic, make it hurt. Make it hurt as a sense of a fan because, look, if you're Arizona, you're having a bad year and you got this gem, you got an absolute diamond. You got Ketel Marte, who everybody would be like, yeah, let me get this dude. Is he available? Yeah, let's hook us up. It's not like, well, if he's available, we got to trade him to the Yankees. That's not the case. So he's gonna cost your top of your top. And folks, if they ask for a guy like Jason Dominguez, don't be shocked because they should. They should. That's who they should ask for. He's under control for years and years to come. Somebody, will give up a top prospect for him. There's no denying that. Oh, hell yeah. Somebody will give up their best. The Cardinals might give up a Gorman for him or a Liberatore. He might, I put a little Italian flair on that name. He might give up, teams will give up guys like that to get a guy like Marte. So it's not as easy said than done. It's a lot easier said than done on a guy like him to make happen. Seager, like you said, is going to be a free agent. You go ahead and sign him. Conforto makes a lot of sense. Here's why. I'm going to put some tape of Michael on the screen here. The first thing you see there, too, is he's hitting a home run at Fenway, which is wonderful. Oh, yeah. But he got a swing for Yankee Stadium. Yes, I know the numbers this year are ugly. They are ugly, ugly, ugly. His COVID year, he did very, very well. I think he actually had a lot of injury this year also. I feel like he's been on the IL.
He's been on the IL significant time.
Yeah, I thought he's been. So he's had his injuries up and down. He is going to be a free agent. I can't imagine him costing a lot at all. I can't, especially with the down year.
Yeah, his arbitration salary this year was 12.2.
So
with the down year from that, who knows?
You're probably looking, and here's the other thing too, as Yankee fans, we got to remember, the Yankees still got Aaron Hicks, whether we believe it or not. You know what I mean? They still got Aaron Hicks.
Oh, if only we could trade him somewhere.
Aaron Hicks is still a Yankee. So, yes, I do believe Aaron Hicks is tradable. I do believe that contract's tradable. The Yankees are obviously going to have to probably add a prospect to that deal and add some money to move it. But I don't think there's any way, if you're Brian Cashman, which then again, if you're Brian Cashman, I can actually see the way. But if you're a logical fan, I don't know how you keep Hicks in his lineup, or you're like, yeah, let's leave him there. That's fine. I don't see that happening. I don't think Hicks should even be considered as a regular when you got so many options here. Now, again, the Yankees do need a center fielder and a left fielder. So there's the potential they say, well, if we hold on to a guy like Floreal, we can still maybe hold on to Hicks and put him in left or center and see how it pans out, because there's still options there. You're still paying him. So you got to see it in that sense, right? You're still paying the guy money, $10 million a year. If you can't move him, you're not gonna just leave him somewhere. You got to figure out something that works for him. Whether that ends up being a fourth outfielder, oh well, or whether that ends up being a platoon guy, oh well. That's the way it's gonna have to go for a little bit, and that's all on Brian Cashman. But that's why I said it's so important now for him to amend those mistakes, like you said, and admit to certain things not working or being wrong. But again, if you go back here, I like the idea of Michael Conforto in left field. He has a really strong arm in the outfield also, which helps. Gleyber Torres, I'm still in the air about. I think a lot of fans are. And again, it's not just because he's had a up and down year. The power has seemed to just gone away. The hard contact is not there. There's a lot of struggle, right, with a guy like Gleyber that we're seeing this year. That's scary. He's played a better, I think, shortstop than people give him credit for. I think he's been pretty decent at shortstop, undeniably. But I'm still not sold on Gleyber. And I still think if there's a way to get value out of Gleyber Torres, if a team is willing to offer some top guys for him, or maybe he's a part of a package for a very solid starting pitcher, I still think you could really make that argument, especially if you get a guy like an Adam Frazier, who you got him locked up next year for arbitration. He'll be back next year if you sign him, if you trade for him.
Yeah.
You can always move DJ LeMahieu to first base. I think most people with logic is like, that's probably where he ends up anyway.
Yeah.
Just because he has so many years under his belt, and you want to keep him off his feet, off of worrying about range too much. You want him to focus on hitting, right? And putting him at first base, he still has smooth hands. That doesn't go anywhere. Range will dwindle, but I don't think his smooth hands will ever change. I think he'll be a very good first baseman.
Yeah,
so,
he'll translate.
And he's not a small guy, so the frame is also there. So
Yeah.
he got everything to be a good first baseman.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, the reason we bring stuff like that up is because it's so damn interesting for where this club is, right? It's very, very interesting on where they can go. And I throw at you one more topic for today before we wrap this one up. We now have word that a big club is going to be selling. And that club is the Chicago Cubs. As I throw some video on the screen here of a lot of very good Cubs players who are likely going to be traded. The first one on the screen really has to intrigue the Yankees. And that is the one, the only Italian native, Anthony Rizzo. Love that Italian last. There's so many Rizzos out there. But Anthony Rizzo. The Rizzo.
Ooh.
The Rizzo boys.
Ooh.
Anthony Rizzo as a Yankee, what are your thoughts on that? And is that a deal that if they call the Yankees and go, hey, baby. I don't know why they talk like this, but for some reason they would. Hey, baby. Got a deal, B Cash.
Hey.
Got a deal, baby Brian, baby.
Hey, what do you think about Rizzo? You like him? We like him.
Comes with a deep dish, you know what I'm saying?
Hey. Listen, man. What can I say about Anthony? Like, to me, it would be a dream scenario. Which is why I'm like, could that even happen? Like, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I would love Anthony Rizzo on the Yankees. A decent guy at first base. But I mean, like, first of all, clubhouse presence, ridiculous. So like freaking lighthearted, everything, like keeps the vibes good in that dugout. Like, you
leader just exuberates off him, doesn't it?
Exactly. Like the team loves him. Like, can you imagine pairing a guy like that with Aaron Judge? Like,
awesome.
Come on, like that. Those two guys together, like that might be like maybe neither one of them is going to be like that one leader that like we've been dying for, but the two of them together for sure is how it could. And then, that swing, that lefty bat, it looks like it was made for Yankee Stadium. And it would be a nice injection into a team that looks like it was crafted to play in a different park. But when you add a guy like that, it's like, whoa, now I can start to see it. Definitely would be a dream scenario, for sure.
100%.
I do want to correct. I fact checked something. I said, because I was like, oh, Corey Seager's a little bit older than the other guys. I mixed him up with somebody else. He's around the same age as all the other shortstops coming out in the free agency this year.
Right. So maybe one of the older shortstops would be a Brandon Crawford, who is also a possibility.
And I think Story is older than the other guys.
I think Story's 33. I want to say.
Okay, and I think that's what messed me up. That Story is older than the other guys. So I was just like, I was like, okay, maybe that's the one I missed. But I just wanted to like confirm that. And you were right. I think you were right about Kluber. I thought Kluber had an option for next year, but he doesn't.
Well, actually, we're both very wrong about Story. Story's only 28.
Oh my God! So he's also around the same age.
Yeah, he's also only 28.
Hey, so I guess I was just thinking about Crawford. I don't know why, but I was like, out of the crop of shortstops that are coming out this year, there was like one that I was like, oh, he's older, like already, like I thought like 29 or almost 30 or whatever, but I'm wrong. So anyway, I just wanted to like clear that up for the people that are gonna listen and be like, oh, you were wrong about that. Like, nah, whatever. But I could definitely see Rizzo fitting right into this lineup. I think he'd be great. He'd be an injection of life to the lineup. Dream scenario, honestly. Dream scenario. What's the likelihood that I think this happens? Not because the Cubs aren't selling, but because my faith in our front office is so low. I would have it right now at like 30% chance. And the only reason it's that high is because like they've made it super obvious very early on that they're going to be sellers.
Yeah, right. They have.
So teams
teams are going to be calling already and getting going. And the other two I think there's 3 more guys I have on the screen that are coming up. The first one already passed is Kyle Hendricks.
Oh, yeah.
Is one guy, no doubt about it. Javier Baez is another guy. And then the last one I have on there is Contreras, who kind of already said, hey, if we rebuilding, trade me. He's already came out and said, look, I'm not looking to play on a club that's rebuilding. Oh, there's one more name, too, that makes sense, too, is Craig Kimbrell, who is actually who's doing well this year. Yeah. So there's a few options out there for teams, not just the Yankees, obviously, to look to make a deal. Because, again, when a team says they're selling, you, of course, look at who's going to be a free agent, what players are out there. And for the Cubs, they got some good ones. They got some good ones. They got some good ones. I don't know off the top of my head. I didn't really play around with that little trade value site, or I haven't even sent these text messages to see if I get any responses on what a deal could look like. I haven't done none of that with any of these guys, and maybe I will for like a Rizzo, because I think Rizzo, if you look at everybody on that team, a Rizzo and a Hendricks probably make the most sense, right?
Yeah.
For who to trade for.
I would say those are the two that make the most sense, yeah.
Because you can argue Contreras and Gary aren't really having much different offensive seasons. Gary's probably having a little better, I think.
Yeah, it's about the same.
It is rough. I think they have about 13 plus homers right around there. Yeah. They're still batting in the 230s, 220s. Gary's been really struggling again here as of late. But something like that. The argument there would be defense. The argument there would be the defensive upgrade, I think. Yeah, the defensive upgrade's the main thing.
Yeah.
And overall, do you really want to pay for that right now? That, I think, is the big. I don't think that's a major area of need, because one thing you got to remember, the tandem that the Yankees have put together of people always want to put these two, against each other, but they got 20 homers together, something along the lines of Higgy and Gary.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. People don't see that. They don't look at the position. They look at the player.
They look at the players.
They look at who's catching Cole and blah, blah, blah. But let's look at their numbers as a whole from the rest of the league. They're doing really good offensively, and they've improved defensively also.
From the catcher's position this year, we've actually gotten decent, not crazy, but decent offensive output. And the reason I say that is because if you look around the league at what most teams are getting from the catching position, they're not getting nothing, zilch.
Yeah, we got a backup catcher that at least homers. You know what I mean? He hits the ball out.
Come on, you got your Real Mutos, and you got your Buster Posey's having a resurgence, which is crazy. Like, he's having a renaissance here in San Francisco. But I mean, outside of that, maybe one other guy. Like, nobody's really having that much production. So what the Yankees have been able to put together with Higgy and Sanchez, I actually have to applaud them for that.
No, I agree. I'm right there with you. Even if Gary goes on a hot streak right now, I think I put his numbers up the other day. I wanted to make a point of this because people saw me do that, and right away they go to, oh well, look, right away you're hating. It's not hating on Gary Sanchez. I'm bringing out a point. The same thing with Glaber and a few others. The thing about Gary Sanchez, I even admitted this. I said, even though he's struggling, he still looks better. He still looks better. His at-bats still look better. He doesn't look lost.
Like before.
Before he looked lost. It was like he was going up there like, man, I just want to I can't even put the damn bat on the ball at this point. Like, I'm gone.
There were times where, as fans, we're looking at him and we're wondering, like, is he ever going to snap out of it?
Yeah, it didn't look like it, right? It looked like he was done. Like, there was nothing really left of Gary Sanchez, which is kind of scary.
Whereas right now, you're 100% right. He doesn't look like that. He just looks like he's slumping, but he doesn't look lost.
Right. So, I mean, you look at again all the projections and all this fun stuff going forward. We got a big deadline coming up. We're not going to specifically talk about that now because we're going to have the Nights at the Round Table talk during the offseason here. That's going to definitely hit on trades, and that's going to pick up here really soon. So this is a very exciting time of the season. And I can argue this is one of the biggest deadlines in Brian Cashman's career.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about it, because one or two things, again, is going to happen. The Yankees are going to keep contending, as they've shown here in these last couple of games before the All-Star break. that they're still fighting them, whether they don't hit a lot. The offense is definitely a problem. That's so obvious. It's easy to tell. The offense is seriously a concern. But they're either going to go out and buy, or if they really fall off the map, they'll end up selling some pieces. So as we said, retooling.
Yeah.
And whether we think Brian Cashman's that guy or not, this is a serious deadline for him and the Yankees.
Oh, it can't be understated. I mean, I see a lot of people, saying that it's not, this team isn't a contender. The season's over. It's just like, all right, yeah, I get it. They've played terrible this year. They've given us a lot of reason to like be down in the dumps about it and like be like, really, really upset and disappointed in this team. But let's not kid ourselves either. The New York Yankees are a business. And if your business currently sits 3.5 games out of the second wild card spot, you're not considering yourself a contender. Like, I'm sure right now, as mad or whatever as Hal could be, which I don't know how mad he really is, he looks at the wild card standings and says, we got a shot though. We got a shot. And if we make it to the wild card game, right, and we got Gerrit Cole, I like our chances. So that means we can make it at least to the ALDS. And if we make it to the ALDS, it's the same as if we won the division. So we're back in the divisional series. Like, if they find a way to get to the wild card and get into the ALDS, I'm sure in Hal's mind is just like, yeah, like we went in an unconventional way. This is not the way we planned on getting here, but we got here.
Yeah.
And so where they're sitting right now, I'm telling you, whether you fans believe it or not, ownership and the front office is looking at this team right now as a contender.
Yeah, of course.
So it's going to be a very interesting deadline because it's like, okay, if this is how you see this team and you say we can seriously make a run at that second spot, we just got to leapfrog, like Seattle or whatever, like, but we can do that. It's like, yeah, it's possible, but you're definitely going to need some reinforcements.
100%.
And I think that goes without saying.
And that's all it's going to come down to. So, I mean, a very exciting time. A huge start from Cole. Good series. The Yankees are about to get going in a few hours from the time we're recording this to go Game 3. Looking for the sweep tonight. So tonight, in a few hours, afternoon, they're looking for the sweep again, man. And it is what it is. It's an exciting time of the year. We'll see what the Yankees do. But for me, again, the most important deadline coming up here for Brian Cash, and a big time moving forward to see the moves that are made. But just a couple of quick updates too. We will have Nights at the Round Table. I'll shoot that over to you guys soon. We'll come up with a time, and that's going to work for everybody. Oh, by the way, I want to talk about this real quickly. Good job, Denver police and Denver hotel maid who went into the room and found all those weapons. That's absolutely terrifying. That's really scary. Thank God for her, seriously, because who knows what the plan was there. I mean, just absolutely sickening, scary. And as a precaution, I really wish MLB just moves the game back to Georgia. I know that's impossible and you can't do it that quickly, and I understand that. But, man, just absolutely scary. Stay safe, everybody going there. Be alert, be on the lookout for anything. Hopefully a scary situation was stopped well ahead of time, because who the hell knows what this psycho had in mind. But it was definitely nothing good. It was definitely nothing good.
It's a shame, man. I mean, not to make light of the situation, but I saw that, and my first thought was just like, you don't need that many weapons to get Manfred, bro. Like, you're not gonna need. It's not gonna take that much. Like, I'm like, there's no way you want to get any of these other guys.
My man, you can use a slingshot. What are you doing?
It's like, I know you weren't gonna
put a piece of tape around the guy.
Love the players, come on.
Put a piece of tape around.
In all seriousness, definitely a good call. We should definitely salute that maid, salute that staff. Great work. And yeah, like it just sucks, man, that we're living, in times like this where these things continue to happen consistently, and it's just like whatever. But not for nothing, right? And not to go all political on you guys, but I think it's something to note, right? Like a lot of people thought, oh, this is only something that's been happening, the 4 years that a certain president was in office. Well,
Right.
these things are still happening.
No, it's
Guys,
still happening.
It's a
look,
much deeper issue here.
right. There's cycles all around.
It's not just about the sitting president, guys. Like
Right.
there's much deeper things at play here. So
right. I can't. God forbid if something were ever to happen, I could never blame a president for that. You know what I mean? No matter who's in office. I could hate
this happened to me because of you.
Yeah, no, I mean, not at all. I mean,
the gas
scary.
prices, yes.
Oh yeah, the gas. Certain things you certainly can blame certain presidents for. Same thing with previous presidents and presidents now. You could blame a lot of things on who's there. But stuff like that, I just want to say this because this past year I've actually gone through something I never thought I could go through, which is mental trouble. Which is actually, there was a point, and I'm open to sharing this stuff so much more now because I've actually lived it. I'm like, damn, I feel bad for people who really suffer. I don't. So I'm not on that level. But guys, there was a time where I was questioning if I was going crazy or not. Like there was one time where after everything I went through, I felt like I was having an attack. And I told my fiance, I'm getting mad. And she's like, are you okay? Like, what do you mean mad? I said, I don't know if I can control myself, so leave the room. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she's like, we've been together forever. She's like, you're not going to do shit. Like, calm down. Like, you're okay. There was a time in my mind, I thought I wasn't going to be able to control what actions I was about to take. That's terrifying. That's scary. So the point I'm trying to make here is I've been a gun owner for ages. I've never thought of shooting anybody, ever. Ever. I know all my friends have guns, ARs, whatever you think of that's, oh my God, they're so evil. It takes a crazy person to do something, to think of doing something this bad. It didn't take the gun, okay? People hit people with cars, right? They're nuts. They say, I'm going to run through a crowd with a car. Yeah. So I'm not making this a political thing. What I'm trying to say is the mental aspect of these things need to be discussed. Because that's the biggest issue.
That's the heart of the issue.
It's 100% the heart of the issue.
The heart of the issue.
Luckily for me, and again, I like to share this because I went through a very hard time, and there's still times when now I'm fighting it, I'm getting better, and I'm doing well. I got friends that messaged me, said, Pete, yeah, I've been on all these prescriptions and all this, and I feel like I've gotten worse. Or some of them say, I feel like I've gotten better. My doctor wanted to put me on all these different drugs, and I remember asking him, I said, but doc, I never had this issue before. Like, why am I going to be on all these drugs for? For what reason? Side effects are blindness, this, that. I'm like, what the hell? For what? I'm like, you might become depressed. I'm like, no, I live a great life. I love my life. I love my kids. I love my wife. No way. And I'm like, and he goes, well, you could also do it behaviorally. And I'm, I'll do meditation. I don't care. I'll do meditation for hours before I'm taking this stuff. Better. Because like it might change your attitude. So you mean one day I could pop these things for a while and all of a sudden I want to attack people? Like that's scary. No, you don't mess with the chemicals in your brain if you ask me. Now there is 100% times where you have to, and it helps people. People that got chemical imbalance, and there is things that help you. So by all means, listen to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. Don't take my advice. Yeah. I'm just telling you it worked for me. So I bring that story up because I just want to say I'm very concerned about mental health in this country and in the world overall. And I think that's something that we got to put a bigger focus into than just saying, oh my God, this guy had guns. What's the background aspect of this person wanting to do this? That to me is more of a conversation. But thankfully he was stopped. Hopefully, fingers crossed that everything goes well at the All-Star game. We have an awesome game. We have a really nice derby shaping up. And also, one more thing for the Atlanta Braves fans, Ronald Acuna, get better, my friend. That sucks.
Facts. Man, when I saw it, I was like, this is like, I can't imagine. Like, I've been complaining a lot as a Yankee fan. All of us have. But if you have Atlanta Braves fans, like, around you in your vicinity.
Yeah, I do.
Hey, extend a helping hand. Like, give them a hug. Trust me when I tell you, they've actually had it worse than us this season. Oh, yeah. And this with Acuna is just like the icing on the cake. I feel so bad for them. Acuna, definitely get well soon, bro. Like one of the most electric players in the game. The game's better when he's playing, when he's on the field. So yeah, man, prayers up for him. getting carted off the field in baseball is always like so, you know,
Scary.
like when you
Sucks.
see that in baseball, it's like,
Bad.
oh man,
You know it's
because it's
bad.
very rare
Yep.
that a baseball player can at least be carried off or like walk off on their own volition. So the fact that he had to be carted, I was just like, oh man, sorry, big blow to the Braves and
Big blow to the game overall. It sucks.
that
Yeah.
sucks. He was having a good year.
Yeah, and a really classy organization the Atlanta Braves are, you know, and they're always contending. They just have a very, very solid and sound system and just overall organization.
They do it right, and they would have won a chip in the '90s if it wasn't for, you know, greatness up here in the Bronx. But
well, you know, if it wasn't for overrated Derek Jeter, I mean, you know that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. The problem is they ran into this team that had this guy who did nothing but hit singles.
just 3,465 of them, and you do that.
They couldn't figure him out.
Sixth all time on the hits list, but you know, I mean, those are who looks at those. The most hits all time is the New York Yankees, greatest sports organization in the world. All that's overrated.
That's singles.
It's all singles. It sucks. His OPS. Look at his OPS. He sucks.
Come on, what are you talking about?
He's worst defensive player ever. Worst player in the history of sports. It doesn't matter.
We should make a shirt. We should definitely make a shirt that says, I love singles, and put like stripper money all over
right
with Jeter on it. Like, I love singles. What are these people talking about?
I mean, what does he got? 6 of them? What does he got? 6 of them? Got 5, 6 of them, whatever he got.
I think 5.
5?
Right?
Yeah, he got 5.
Come
on.
Poppy.
He got 5.
He's
even above our good friend Ozzy. So it is what it is.
Man.
All right, folks. So for another episode of the one, the only Designated Spittaz, I am at Simonetti Source. Follow me too, but definitely keep following this guy right here at one Francis Lee.
That's right. Follow Francis Lee. Remember, guys, our best episode is the next episode. Check us out.
Bingo. All right. Talk to you guys again very soon. Thank you.